Shri Guru Garanga Gandhar Vikagiri Dhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupar Ashitarashita Shishimar Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Gurudev Ki Jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupar Ashitarashita Shishimar Bhaktivedānta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatara Shata Shishmar Bhaktivedānta Swami Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Mahārāja Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Mahabhagavat Śrīla Shuras Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rūpa Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Śrīla Baladevi Vibhushan Prabhu Ki Jai. Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Shri Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Trai Ki Jai. Śrīla Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Padadas Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Swarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namachay Śrīla Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय. सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय. श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंद की जय. श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय. श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय. श्री भक्ति देवी की जय. श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय. श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय. Jai Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī's Upadeśāmṛta ki jai. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's articles on verses 2 and 3 of Upadeśāmṛta ki jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Oh, and today is, I think it's Saranga Murari Thakur's, see. Jai Shri Saranga Thakur ki jai. Tadiya Shubha Tiruvav Titi ki jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantra Murthy Mataji, Kana Haladar Prabhu, and doesn't look like there's anybody on YouTube or Facebook yet, so pranams to anybody watching in the future though. All right. So we are continuing our daily readings of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's articles. We completed his articles on the 6 things that impede bhakti, that are unfavorable to bhakti, that destroy bhakti. And now we are reading through the things that nourish bhakti, the virtues of a sadhak, based on Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī's Upadeśāmṛta verse 3. Yeah, verse 3. So we went over utsahan, that means like enthusiasm. Nishchayat, that means firm resolve. And today we're reading about Dhairya, that's patience and forbearance, right? I think that's what I wrote here. Yes. And then at the end, we'll read a little something about Śrī Saranga Thakur, because today's his disappearance day. All right, let's begin. Dhairya, patience and forbearance. Jai Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura ki jai. the necessity of patience in bhajan. It is extremely necessary for those engaged in bhajan to possess the quality of patience and forbearance, Dhairya. Those who possess this quality are known as dhira. They are sober. In the absence of patience, a person becomes restless or adhir and is therefore unable to perform any task. By the quality of patience, a sadhak first controls himself and eventually the whole world. Controlling the six kinds of urges is Dhairya. Haribol Nitai Mukeshji. Okay, so controlling the six kinds of urges is Dhairya. In the first verse of Śrī Upadeśāmṛta, the quality of Dhairya is mentioned. See right there is the word dhira in the third line. Okay, so a wise and self-composed person, that's dhira. Dhairya is the quality and dhira is somebody who possesses the quality, right? So a wise and self-composed person who can subdue the impetus to speak, the agitation. Oh wait, I didn't read the Sanskrit. Vacho vegam manasakroda vegam jiva vegam udarupasta vegam etan veganyo vishaheta dhira sarvam api mang prithiving sashishyat. A wise and self-composed person who can subdue the impetus to speak, the agitation of the mind, the onset of anger, the vehemence of the tongue, the urge of the belly, and the agitation of the genitals, can instruct the entire world. In other words, all persons may become disciples of such a self-controlled person. The six urges are the urges of speech, the mind, anger, the belly, the tongue, and the genitals. The urge of speech and the means to control it. When the desire arises to speak excessively, a person becomes talkative. Hare Krishna Gokuleshwari Didi. And when a person is incapable of controlling his speech, he speaks about others. Paracharcha. Speaking about others causes many people to become your enemy. Although it is extremely foolish to make statements that are useless and unnecessary, a materialist always wastes his time by doing so. The result is great distress. To check oneself from this disturbance, one who is a follower of dharma observes a vow of silence, monovrat. This is why our rishis have prescribed the observance of monovrat, along with all other important vrats. A sincere practitioner of bhajan should not speak unnecessarily. If the need to speak unnecessarily arises, he should definitely remain silent. All talks other than Bhagavat Katha are unnecessary. But it is never unnecessary to speak about topics favorable to bhakti. It's never unnecessary. It's double negative, but yeah, it's never unnecessary to speak about topics favorable to bhakti to Sri Hari. On the contrary, it's always necessary. For this reason, devotees should speak only Harikatha and topics favorable for Harikatha. All other topics fall under the category of the urge to speak. One who is able to tolerate the urge to speak is dhira. That person is sober. So I can just make... I wonder if it's working on YouTube or Facebook, because usually there's... Okay, yeah, there's somebody there. Cool. Just making sure. Okay, the urge of the mind and the means to control it. It is the duty of those who are Dhairya to tolerate the urge of the mind. Unless a person is habituated to controlling the urge of the mind, how can he attentively perform bhajan? Within the minds of materialists, urges perpetually arise in the form of desires. Except for when he is sleeping, the materialist sits on the chariot of his mind, where he busies himself in dreams, and he never stops. He is never peaceful, even as he sleeps. In the form of good and bad dreams, anxiety never leaves him. To regulate the urge of the mind, the rishis have prescribed Ashtanga Yoga and Raja Yoga. But the Supreme Lord has decreed that the mind should be engaged in tasting a higher ras, through which it will become detached from lower worldly rasas and thus become regulated. Their taste. Those who have a taste for the path of bhakti can easily regulate their mind. The mind cannot remain without urges. So if we engage it in thinking about transcendental subject matters, it becomes absorbed in them. Having experienced the ras of transcendental subjects, the mind is not agitated by material subjects, which are inferior. Yeah, and I mean, you can tell that after when you're in a when you go to a class in a pure devotee speaking and you're actually attentive to the class afterwards, there's nothing that makes your mind more pure and control and able to control your mind. So whenever you're inspired by bhakti, whenever you deeply absorb yourself in shastra or in any of these things, that's the most powerful, effective way to control the mind. Shuddha bhakti, not yoga, is the topmost method for controlling the mind. Many people think that there is no method to regulate the mind other than Ashtanga yoga. But this is not the case. The mind cannot be regulated through yoga as easily as it can through bhakti. Patanjali Muni has, sorry, Patanjali Muni also has accepted that, like Ashtanga yoga, meditation on Ishwar or Bhakti yoga is a method to regulate the mind. The meditation on the Supreme Lord, propounded by Patanjali, is not pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti, but rather devotion performed with selfish intent, Kamya Bhakti. Yeah, he's meditating on the Lord so that he can control his mind. He's not meditating on the Lord so that he can serve serve the Lord. Bhakti is performed for the sole purpose of regulating, Bhakti performed for the sole purpose of regulating the mind is certainly not the purest form of bhakti or completely devoid of desires other than to serve Sri Krishna, Anyabhilashita Shunya. That perpetual endeavor for the sake of Sri Krishna, Krishnanushilan, performed exclusively out of loving affection for him, Anukulya Purvak, is alone Shuddha Bhakti. That word Purvak probably doesn't need to be there. It is alone Shuddha Bhakti. Therefore, what is Shuddha Bhakti? It's Anyabhilashita Shunya. It is devoid of any other desire than to serve Krishna. And it's it's perpetual endeavor, and it's only for Sri Krishna. And it's performed exclusively out of loving affection for him, Anukulya. So it's Anyabhilashita Shunya, Krishna Anushilana, Anukulya. That alone is Shuddha Bhakti. Therefore, when Shuddha Bhakti is performed, joyfulness awakens in the consciousness of its own accord. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 7, Canto 7, Chapter 1, Verse 32 states, Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja quote this all the time in his letters. Tasmat kenapyupayena mana Krishne niveshayet. One should therefore fix the mind on Krishna by any means. Tasmat, therefore, one should upayena, by any, whatever method, by any method, one should just Krishna niveshayat, should completely fix one's mind on Krishna. That's why we do everything, right? That's why all rules and regulations, right? We just went over that verse. All rules and regulations is the purpose of any rules and regulations that we follow is to always remember Krishna and never forget him. And everything that we do, or we should always try to find any way, try to mold our life in any way so that we can fix it in Krishna, or fix our mind in Krishna. By following this instruction and absorbing the mind in the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the mind very easily becomes regulated and does not wander to other topics. In this way, through pure Krishna bhakti, the urges of the sadhak's mind are regulated. By carefully meditating on this subject, one can know the inherent differences between yoga and bhakti. The impetus of anger and the means to control it. Okay, so we went over Vachuvegam and then Manasavegam, and now we're on Krodavegam. The impetus of anger and the means to control it. It is mandatory for those who are thirsty for bhakti to control the impetus of anger. Anger arises when material lust is unfulfilled, and it can gradually lead one to ruination. Oh, and Haribol Archana Mataji. It could lead one to ruination. It is said in Śrī Sajjana-toṣaṇī Madhya Lila, chapter 19, verse 149, Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Atayeva Shanta. The devotees are without material desires. They are Nishkam. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam. Atayeva, therefore, and therefore, they are Shanta. They are peaceful. And Bhukti Mukti Siddhikami Sakali Ashanta. Everybody else, they are all Ashanta. Only it's the devotees of Krishna who are completely peaceful because they are Nishkam. They have no desire for themselves. The hearts of those who relish Shuddha Bhakti do not contain any lust, any kam. They do not have any kam, which is of no value. Due to the absence of lust, kam can also, it can mean lust, but it also means desire, right? They do not contain any desire. Due to the absence of lust, there's not the slightest possibility of anger arising within their mind. One cannot control anger if one's bhakti is performed with selfish intent, kamya bhakti, nor can one control it by mere intent. If one does not control it by the intelligence, such control is not permanent, but temporary. Within no time, one's attachment to sense objects defeats the intelligence and again allows anger a place in its kingdom. In Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 23, the story of a renunciant mendicant, Tridandi Bhikshuk, has been given. Haribol Nadi Krishna Prabhu. Okay, so in the 11th canto, chapter 23, Śrīmad Bhagavatam, there's a description. In Ujjain, there lived a wealthy Brahmin. He was very greedy, miserly, and short-tempered. Due to his bad behavior and miserly nature, his entire family became his enemy. Eventually, everything took a turn for the worse, and whatever he had was destroyed. Because of this, an ardent desire to renounce the world was aroused within his mind. Accepting the religious duties, the dharma of a Tridandi Bhikshuk, he began practicing bhakti yoga. Within some days, by the influence of Bhakti Yoga, he became capable of controlling his anger. Now here are some verses from the 11th canto, chapter 23. Tam vai pravaya sambhikshum avadhutam asajjana drishtva parya bhavan bhadra bhavibhi paribhutibhi Kechitri venum jagrihur eke patram kamandalum Pītam chaikyekshat sutrang cha kanthang chirani kechana pradaya cha punastani darshitanya dadurmune annang cha bhaiksha sampannang bhunjanasya sarittate mutrayanti cha papishta Shtivantyasya cha murdhani Kshipante ke vajananta Esha dharma dvaja shata Kshina vitta imam vrittim agrahit swajanojhita Evam sabhotikam dukhang Daivakam daihikam chayat Bhoktavyam atmanodhishtam Prapyam praptam abudhyata. So these are verses 30 to 35, 37, and 40 from this 23rd chapter of the 11th canto. After untying the knot of I and mine in his heart, that Brahman from Ujjain became a peaceful bhikshuk, a mendicant. He was elderly and unclean, and at the mere sight of him, wicked people troubled him, and they insulted and criticized him in many ways. Some would seize his tridanda, and some would knock his begging bowl from his hands. Some would snatch away his water pot and asan, and some would run away with his mala, with his chanting beads, and his raggedly chadar, his shawl. Some would even scatter his undergarments and clothes here and there. They would then show him these things and then tease him by again snatching them back. When that ascetic would beg alms and then sit on the bank of the river to eat, sinful people would sometimes pass urine on his head and spit on him. My God. Some would criticize him by taunting, "Just see, now this wicked person is making a show of spirituality. He makes begging his occupation simply because he lost all his wealth and his family rejected him." But even after being insulted in this manner, he would quietly tolerate everything. Sometimes he had to tolerate bodily miseries like high fever. Sometimes he would have to tolerate miseries from higher forces of nature like heat and cold. And sometimes wicked people would insult him and cause him misery. But these would cause no disturbance to the mind of the mendicant. He would understand, these are the fruits of my karma, and I have to bear them. The moral of the story about the renunciant mendicant is to be accepted by householders and renunciants alike. That mendicant expressed himself as follows. Etang sa astaya paramatmanishtam adhyasitam purvatamair maharshibi ahang tarishyami durantaparam tamo mukundangri nishevayaiva. Same chapter, verse 57. I am a soul, a minute living entity. Shri Krishna is the supreme soul. Being attached to this material world, a living entity who is averse to Krishna suffers from miseries caused by other living entities, the body and mind, and natural disasters such as excessive heat or cold. Service to Shri Krishna is the jiva's eternal occupation. I will give up my faith in this material world and perform Krishna bhajan with irrevocable faith in the Supreme Person, Paratmanishta, controlling my mind, speech, anger, and so on through a lifestyle favorable for bhakti. Eminent rishis of yore have taken shelter of this such faith. Sorry, they have taken shelter of this, of such faith, and crossed the material ocean. In some places, this faith is evident in the dharma of householders, such as King Janak, and it is sometimes evident in the dharma of renunciants, such as Sanak and Sanatan. In reality, Paratma Nishta is the same in both cases. Without this Paratma Nishta, one cannot cross the insurmountable ocean of nescience. Service to Bhagavan Mukunda is our only shelter. It is solely by serving his lotus feet that I will cross this ocean of nescience. We can clearly see from this song of the mendicant that it is impossible to cross the material ocean through the process of yoga. Everything can be achieved by having firm faith in Krishna Bhakti. One who takes shelter of Bhakti and thereby controls the urge of the mind, speech, and anger is known as Dhairya. Okay, so we completed Vachravegam, Manasavegam, and Krodhavegam. Now we are moving on to Jiva Vegam, the urge of the tongue and the means to control it. It is absolutely essential to control the urge of the tongue. A materialistic person is always preoccupied with tasting the 6 kinds of ras: sweet, spicy, sour, bitter, pungent, and salty. Today I will eat sweet rice. Today I will eat halava. Today I will drink the finest drinks. Such desires do not allow a materialist to be peaceful. The more the tongue tastes, the more its hankering to taste increases. Attaining Krishna is very difficult for those who run here and there to satisfy the voracity of the tongue. I know that's whenever I eat something really nice, it's difficult to go back to eating normal, just the normal diet again. Okay. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Vairagi hoya kore jivar lalasa, Paramartha jai ar hoera servash, Vairagyera kritya sada nama sankirtan, Shakapatra phala mule udar bharan, Jivar lala se je iti uti dhai, Shishnodar parayan Krishna nahi pai. It's Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila, chapter 6, verses 225 to 227. The meaning is that one who is subservient to the tongue and who thus wanders here and there to satisfy it is devoted to the genitals and belly and cannot attain Krishna. The ultimate spiritual goal of a person who hankers to satisfy the tongue, even after becoming a renunciate, will surely be lust. Moreover, under the influence of material ras, he will also lose his social standing. A renunciant should always perform Nam Sankirtan and satisfy his belly with vegetables, leaves, fruits, roots, and so forth. A person should fill his belly with whatever foods are easily available. By offering to Sri Krishna foods in the mode of goodness, and then honoring them as prasad, the hankering of the tongue is eradicated, and service to Krishna is cultivated. If palatable prasad becomes easily available without any arduous endeavor, then the tongue's greed will not increase, but gradually become controlled. But that only happens if we honor the prasad. We don't just try to enjoy it, but we give, like we actually sing Sharira Vijadal, like meditating on the meaning, and then take it with reverence. Then our tongue will be controlled. But if you just eat prasad like, oh yeah, I want some more of that kheer, like that, then we won't control the tongue. Okay, the urge of the belly and the means to control it. The urge of the belly is a big disturbance. That foodstuff by which one's hunger is mitigated and one's physical body is nourished is necessary for the belly. Those who are thirsty for bhakti should maintain their life by eating moderately. Those who endeavor to overeat are gluttonous. One characteristic of a devotee is that he is mita bhuk, which means one who only eats what is necessary. By eating less, the body remains light and does not create obstacles in one's bhajan. Those who do not possess the strength to tolerate the urges of the stomach are always greedy to eat. Those who take a determined vow to eat nothing but Bhagavat Prasad are particularly capable of tolerating the urges of the belly. To observe fasting during vrats is a good way of learning to control the urges of the belly. And now here's the last one. This is Upastavega, right? Before was Udaravega, that's the urge of the belly, and now Upastavega, the urge of the genitals and the means to control it. The urge of the genitals is extremely fearsome. It is stated in Śrīmad Bhagavatam 11.5.11. Loke vyavayamisha madhyaseva nitya hi jantor nahi tatra chodana. Those who reside in a material body made of blood and flesh assume that the act of associating with the opposite gender is natural. This is a result of their wrongly identifying themselves with this body. In order to regulate this unnatural behavior, the process of marriage has been prescribed. Those who wish to abandon and become free from the regulations of marriage remain engaged in animalistic activities. For those who have overcome this unnatural propensity by associating with saintly persons, and on the strength of their bhajan, for those who have overcome this unnatural propensity by associating with saintly persons, and on the strength of their bhajan, who have thus attained a taste for spiritual topics, association with the opposite gender is extremely base. Persons who are completely afflicted with the disease of enjoying sense objects and filled with attachments to material enjoyment can never tolerate the urge of the genitals. As a result, they are always engaged in illicit activities. In this regard, there are two kinds of sadhak bhaktas. Those who have transcendental affection, rati, for Bhagavan. Let me reread this. There are two kinds of sadhak bhaktas. Those who have transcendental affection, who have rati for Bhagavan, have been purified by the strength of their association with sadhus. They've been purified by the strength of their association with sadhus. They completely give up the association of women and engage in bhajan. And of course, whenever it says this, we understand it's meaning the opposite sex. So for women, men. Such people are known as griha tyagi Vaishnavas, devotees who have renounced their homes. The other type consists of those whose propensity for associating with women has not yet been removed. They execute the procedure of marriage and thereby accept grihastha dharma. As householders, they engage in Bhagavad Bhajan. The lawful association of women, that is, associating with women according to the regulations prescribed in the scriptures, is known as controlling the urge of the genitals. Haribo Krishnamaya Didi. Okay, the best solution to control the 6 urges. Tolerating the above-mentioned 6 urges according to the prescripts of scripture is helpful for bhajan. When those urges are strong, they are unfavorable for bhajan. To subdue the above-mentioned 6 urges is called Dhairya, or forbearance. These tendencies cannot be completely eradicated as long as one possesses a material body, but by properly engaging them in their respective appropriate objects, they are no longer faulty. The conclusion is that it is the duty of an intelligent person to remove these urges from focusing on their respective material objects and to make them favorable for bhakti. For instance, one should divert one's lust for material objects toward Krishna seva, anger towards those who are inimical to devotees, anger towards those who are inimical to devotees, greed towards sadhu sangha and harikatha, and intoxication toward chanting the glories of Krishna. In this way, when all the urges are directed toward those objects and topics that are related to Bhagavan, they no longer remain obstacles, but rather become helpful. However, this is possible only when the quality of Dhairya is present. It is compulsory for every sadhak to possess the quality of Dhairya. There is another meaning of the word Dhairya. Those who are engaged in a sadhana, a practice, desire to attain some result. Karmis hope to attain heavenly happiness by observing the rituals mentioned in Karmakanda. Jnanis hope to attain mukti by observing the injunctions of Jnankanda. And devotees hope to please Krishna through bhakti sadhana. There are some sadhaks who, due to the time it takes to obtain the results of their sadhana, eventually become impatient and deviate from the path leading to their ultimate goal. This chanting thing is taking way too long, so I'm going to try something else. Therefore, only when a practicing devotee adopts dhairya, or patience, does he attain his desired goal. Krishna will certainly be merciful to me, whether today, tomorrow, after 100 years, or even after 10 births. I will take shelter of his lotus feet with determination and never leave them. This type of patience is most desirable for bhakti sadhaks. Yeah. All right, so if anybody has any points that they want to mention on this topic of dhairya or anything that we read in here, you're free to do so. Don't hesitate to say anything. Today is the disappearance day of Śrīla Saranga-Thakur, Mahaprabhu's associate, and so I thought we could read his glories from the book Śrī Chaitanya and His Associates by Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura Maharaj. Śrī Saranga-Thakur. And his place, Śrī Saranga-Thakur's Shripat is just near, is in Mamgachi, right? Just near to Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur. Kavi Karnapur, the youngest son of Sri Shivananda Sen, writes in his Gaur Ganodashtipika 172. Vraje Nandi Mukhi Yasit Sadhya Saranga Thakura Prahlado Manyate Kaishchin Matpitra Sa Namanyate. Vraja's Nandi Mukhi became Saranga Thakur in Gaur Lila. Some people say that he is Prahlad, but that is not the opinion held by my father Shivananda Sen. He is Nandi Mukhi. Nandi Mukhi is the sister of Madhumangal, right? And the granddaughter of Yogamaya Purnamasi, and also the daughter of Sandipani Muni.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Right? Yes, Archana Mataji.
I had one question in this regard. Can I ask now or later? Maybe later.
Yeah, ask now. No problem.
There is this pastime of the son, Sandipani's Muni drowned, the son drowning in the ocean, and then Krishna going and retrieving him from Yamaloka.
Yeah.
So, how is he connected with Madhumangal?
Oh yeah. Yeah, his guess is that Madhumangal's brother? Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, I never actually thought about that. Huh. I don't know the answer. I'm curious to know myself.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Yeah, actually I don't know. I don't know so much the history of like why Purnamasi and then Madhumangal and Nandimukhi, why they came to Braj, but then all the details of that I don't know. Okay, so some people say that he's okay. So Śrī Sajjana-toṣaṇī is mentioned in the listing of branches of the Chaitanya trunk of the tree of devotional service, along with Ramdas, Kavidatta, Gopal Das, and Bhagavat Acharya. That's Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 10, verse 113. He is also known as Sharanga Thakur, Sharangadhar, and Sharangapani. He used to live in Modadrumadweep, which is the island in Navadweep that represents, of the 9 types of devotional service, the service attitude. Dasyam, right? The name of the town is Mamgachi. He would sit in a secluded place by the banks of the Ganga to perform intense bhajan. Through these practices, he obtains many miraculous powers. At first, Saranga Thakur did not want to make any disciples for fear of disturbances to his bhajan, but Mahaprabhu repeatedly encouraged him to do so. The following account is given in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Abhidhan. When the Lord was returning after criticizing Devananda Pandit for having offended Shivas Pandit, Saranga Thakur met him on the streets of Navadvip. Mahaprabhu ordered him to give up his determination to never take disciples. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada writes in his Anubhashya in Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita, he writes, having been ordered by Mahaprabhu to take disciples, Saranga Thakur decided that he would make a disciple of the first person that he met the following morning. As fate would have it, the next morning, a dead body washed up against him while he was taking bath in the Ganga. He revived the corpse and made him his disciple. This disciple was known as Thakur Murari, or sometimes as Saranga Murari. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava Abhidhan, it is further said that Murari was a boy who had been killed by a snake bite, and his parents had set his uncremated body afloat on a raft in the Ganga, as was the custom in that time. Saranga Thakur revived him by giving initiation to him. Thus his name became Saranga Murari. He became an empowered preacher of Mahaprabhu's Dharma by his Guru's grace. Descendants of Saranga Murari's disciples still live in a village named Shav. Saranga Thakur's deities were served in the town of Mamgachi. The original temple was built in front of a bakula tree. The deities of Radha Gopinath, worshipped by him, can be seen in this temple, as can the deity of Mahaprabhu's associate, Vasudev Datta Thakur, Sri Madan Gopal. Let's see if we can find a picture of on the internet. I'm sure we can. Let's see. I'll type in Saranga. No, Saranga. Okay, let's see here some images of Radha Gopinath, Saranga Murari Thakur's. Let me get a big picture. tools size. I'll do large. Okay, medium. There. Okay, it's the same one. Let's open it in a new tab. There. Okay, so there is, I mean, there are 3 sets of Radha and Krishna, but I'm guessing Saranga Thakur's are the big ones. And then what was
That
it?
is Gaur Nitai Prabhu. The one on this side is Gaur Nitai, the big
Yes.
ones. This was the first Gaur Nitai brought on procession by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on Parikrama.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Very cool. Jai, Gornitai. Interesting how they both have their right arm up. I've never seen that before, actually. That's very cool. I heard that like when you see Thakurji like that, one hand up and one hand down, it means that he's taking mercy from Goloka Vrindavan and distributing it to the jivas. So one hand is up and one hand is down like that. Okay. So and then what was Vasudev Datta Thakur is okay. So those deities that Srila is it this one that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, this is Vasudev Datta Thakur's, right? Mahaprabhu, I guess. And that's what Srila Saraswati Thakur took on.
So these two deities, I remember, is Gaur Nitai, and they were brought by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in a procession for Gaur Mandal Parikrama. I think the first Gaur Mandal Parikrama.
But I'm wondering if like he
This
did
is
he
Sarang Thakur's deities, the one on top. And
yeah,
then
the one on top.
Murari Gupta's, no, not Murari.
Saranga
Uh,
Murari? No.
yeah, no, yeah, there are two more there below, right? Radha
Yes.
Krishna deities.
Right here. Yeah.
I think it's mentioned in the blog, so later on we can go and see.
Okay, yeah, we can take a look. Let's see. It's probably mentioned right here, mayapur.com. Let's see. Uh, okay, well, we'll check this out after. Um, we'll finish this and then we'll go back to that. So, so the deities of Radha Gopinath, worshipped by him, by Śrī Saranga Thakur, can be seen in this temple, as can the deity of Mahaprabhu's associate, Vasudev. Oh, sorry. I misread that. It's the deity of Mahaprabhu's associate, Vasudev Datta Thakur, Shri Madan Gopal. Okay, sorry. I didn't read the whole sentence. The devotees who do parikrama of Navadip Dham visit this temple for darshan. Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Thakur established a temple not far from the above-mentioned home of Saranga Murari at the birthplace of Vrindavan Das Thakur. Saranga Thakur disappeared on the 13th day of the waning moon, Krishna Trayodashi, in the month of Agrahayan. An alternative opinion is that he disappeared on the Ashad Krishna Chaturdashi. Okay, interesting. All right, so let's look at this. What's the story with the bakula tree? I think it mentions here. I think I saw that. Okay, so Sri Sarangamurari Thakur used to reside at Modudrumadweep, Mamgachi, where his deities of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath are still present. There is also a bakula tree which is perhaps existing since the time of Sharanga Thakur. There is a local legend concerning this tree. One day, when Mahaprabhu came there, he noticed that the bakula tree in the courtyard of Saranga's temple was dying. So he asked Saranga, "This bakula tree is dying, so what are you going to do?" Saranga Thakur replied, "Besides your mercy, Prabhu, I don't see any hope for this tree." Then Mahaprabhu embraced the tree, which has remained healthy to this day and is now quite large. Okay. Um, the temple of Saranga Thakur and his worshipful deities Śrī Radha Gopinath are still being worshipped at Mamgachi. Okay, and Vasudev Datta Thakur's Radha Madan Gopal. So I guess this is Radha Gopinath, and then maybe the middle one is Radha Madan Gopal. I don't know. I'm just guessing. And then the small ones. God, I remember. Anyways, I don't remember. Anyhow, but yeah, this is very cool. The first Gaura deities that were ever taken on procession, from the Gaudiya Math, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura Prabhupada took them. That's very, very cool. All right, so that's our program for today. I'll just do a short Mahamantra and then we'll end. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Jai Shri Radha Gopinath Ju Ki Jai, Shri Radha Madan Gopal Ki Jai, Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ju Ki Jai. I don't know what the names of the small figureheads there are.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I found one.
Oh, you did?
In this, it says that that the deities are Gaur Gadadhar and the deities of Sri Puri Goswami. I don't know.
Interesting.
Whether,
Okay.
I don't know
Puri
because
Goswami,
I
which
saw
Puri
it
Goswami?
another place. It's not mentioned. Just mentioned
Okay.
Puri Goswami, and then I had seen it last time about this. Later on, I will search it out and I will send. I'll send it in the send it to you. Maybe you can share it in the group.
Yeah, I'll share in the group.
And then the worshipable deities of Sarang Murari Thakur is Radha Gopinath, and worshipable deities of Sri Vasudev Datta, Radha Madan Mohan, and Gaur Gadadhar deities are of Puri Goswami.
Okay.
And that's what is mentioned here.
Okay, very, very neat. And the only remaining thing to know is who's the small, because there's 3 sets, right?
Yeah.
There's like one big one medium size, and then one very small.
I will find out and send it to you, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Jai Śrīla Gurudeva ki Jai, Jai Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai, Jai Śrīla Param Gurudev ki Jai, Jai Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Jai, Śrīla Gokishora Babaji Maharaj ki Jai, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura ki Jai, Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai, Śrī Rūpa Gaudiya Guru Varga ki Jai, Swaparshad Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopigan ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrindadevi ki Jai, Jai Shri Gaur Gadadhar ki Jai, Jai Shri Saranga Thakur ki Jai, Tadiya Shubha Tirubhav Titi ki Jai, Jai Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī's Upadeśāmṛta ki Jai, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's articles on verses 2 and 3 of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī's Upadeśāmṛta ki Jai, Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo, Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavataya Namo Namaha, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Dandavat pranams, Kana Haladar Prabhu, Nari Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Pradyumna Prabhu, Mantra Murti Mataji, Archana Mataji, Gokuleshwari Didi, Anari Krishna Prabhu, Krishna Mai Didi, Nitai Mukeshji, and let's see on YouTube and Facebook. There are 4 devotees there, but nobody wrote comments. I'm guessing Indira Mataji is there, but pranams to all of you. And anybody watching in the future, thank you so much for joining. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow is it Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat? Performing all those activities that are favorable for bhakti? I think so. Let's see. Utsaha Nishchaya Daya Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat. Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Prabhu, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
So I did find out that they are the Sri Gaurnitai deities brought on an elephant for the first ever Gaurmandal Parikrama. Then I found that the small ones are Sri Radha Gopinath worshipped by Saranga Thakur. I can share the screen if
Oh, the
you want.
small ones. Yeah. Wait, well, let me give you permission to share screen. 1 second. Host tools, share screen. Okay, now you can share your screen.
So you can see these are the big ones, right?
Yes.
The one on top. This is
Yes.
Sri Radha Madan Mugopal worshipped by Vasudev Datta.
Okay.
And then this is the one below. You see Sri Radha Govinda worshipped by Shivananda Sena.
Okay, Jai Shri Radha Govinda Radha Govinda ki Jai. Shivananda Sen ki Jai.
And
Wow.
this is Sri Radha Gopinath worshipped by Śrīla Sarang Thakur.
Wow. Jai Shri
And
Radha
this is
Gopinath
the
ki
Sri
Jai.
Gaurnitai brought on an elephant for the first ever Gaurmandal Parikrama.
Wow. Could you go back to Saranga Thakur's Radha Gopinath?
Saranga Thakur's. This
So
is the Saranga Thakur's.
they were the medium ones, right? The medium-sized ones. The big
Yeah,
one
yeah.
is Radha Madan Gopal, and then the
So
medium-sized
this
one
is the entire thing you can see.
Yeah. Okay.
So this side is, you see here is the Sivananda Sena's deities, I think. Can I?
Okay. Yeah. Wow, very cool. Wow, Jai Ho. I love altars like that where they're just like they're all hanging out together. Like so many figures. Also like Radha Gokulananda, Radha Damodar.
Because I
So
did
many.
a Navadvip Mandal Parikrama presentation. So these are all the slides and these are
Could you show
different.
the Bakula tree?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so whenever we have any Navadip questions, about, I know who to ask. That's great. Great to know. There's the Bakula tree.
This is the Bakula tree. I hope you can see it.
It's amazing how it's completely hollow inside, huh?
Yes,
But it's
completely
like,
hollow
but it's
inside.
completely alive and strong.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Very much.
All right, so that's our program for today, and thanks for that special treat.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And yeah, look forward to seeing you all tomorrow for Tat